Hey folks, welcome back. In this tutorial we're going to be looking at track mattes in After Effects. Now a track matte is very much like a mask. It's a layer that you can use to cut out portions of another layer. Now there's two types, and I'm just going to show you the options here. There's an alpha matte and there's a Luma matte. Now if you don't have this drop down menu here, just go to toggle switches and modes and just make sure you can see the track matte header is there and the drop down menu is here. Now we've got two layers. Layer number 2 is a solid that I put a bit of fractal noise on, just sort of nice straightforward simple effect, and above it I've got some text that's white, and it's this white text that we're going to use for the matte. Now let's start with Luma Matte. Now what a Luma Matte does is it looks at a layer and it uses all of the bright portions or the brightest portions of that layer to knock out the layer underneath. Now because my text, as you can see, is all bright white, all of it's completely white, it's as bright as it can get, when we put the Luma Matte on, it's going to use all of the text to knock out the layer underneath. Let's give it a go. Okay, nice effect. We can also go back on here and you can actually invert it. So it reverses the process. So just to recap, I'm just going to take it back off. If we look at it here, a track matte, in this case the Luma one, will use the brightest portions of a layer to knock out the layer underneath. And as I said, because all of this is bright white, it's going to use all of that text to matte out the layer underneath. The second type of track matte is known as an alpha matte, and to be honest it does a fairly similar thing to the compositing process, but it does it in a slightly different way. What an alpha matte will do is that it will look at a layer, and whatever portions of that layer are transparent, empty, or to use the technical term in sort of Photoshop or After Effects language, the elements that are alpha, is going to use those empty elements or transparent elements to knock out portions of the layer underneath. So let's give it a go. If we put it on alpha matte, there we go. So it's done a similar thing, but it has done it in a different way. On this shaped layer here, we have the star, but the rest of the layer, all around here, is transparent. It's empty. Or to use the technical term in After Effects or Photoshop language, those are the alpha elements. So I'll take the alpha elements, the transparent elements of the layer, and use those to matte out the layer underneath. And like the Luma matte, you can also go to alpha inverted and it reverses the process. Now an alpha matte, just to recap, uses the transparent parts of a layer to knock out the layer underneath. That's why in all honesty it really doesn't matter what colour, in my case I'm just going to put it back on here, your shape is. It could be red, blue, green, purple, it doesn't matter, because it's actually not using colour here, it's using the empty space around it to create the matte. So just to recap, alpha mattes use the transparent portions of a layer to matte out the layer underneath, and the Luma mattes use the bright portions of a layer to knock out parts of the layer underneath. Okay folks, hope you found that useful. See you in the next tutorial.